I find myself today trying to deal with two disasters visited upon us by the previous administration, the Bush administration. In the Natural Resources Committee, we're dealing with the disaster of the lack of regulation and criminal activity within the Department of Interior on the regulation of deep sea oil drilling, offshore oil drilling. And here today, we're faced with dealing with the disaster because of the Bush economy and the failure of regulation in the financial systems of this country. Those scandals have now visited upon school districts, cities, and counties, the loss of revenues that they are highly dependent upon. People have not been buying cars for a year and a half. Sales tax is one of the most important resources to many of these entities, and houses have been constantly revalued down, so they're losing property tax receipts that are critical to many school districts all across this country. Through no fault of these districts, they now find themselves in a situation where they've got to make a decision about laying off hundreds of thousands of school personnel. That simply cannot be tolerated by this Congress. We have business leaders who come here every year and testify that the most important thing we can do for the American economy is to improve our education system. If we are now in the middle of the reforms that are taking place, the leadership of the Secretary, the leadership of these education leaders, and the talents of our teachers here today, if we now balk and lose a year because of financial scandals, it will be a scandal on the Congress. We simply cannot tolerate that these districts are going to be punished, and these school personnel people are going to be laid off, and the students are going to struggle even more mightily to make the progress that we're insisting as a nation they make. We can't have it both ways. We cannot have it both ways. In my own district, it's 1,000 school personnel that are anticipated being laid off, and we think that after we get the governor's budget in August, it will be even worse. So that's what we're confronting. And while the nation and we all should be happy that we're starting to see an uptick in private employment, we've been told by numerous economists that what happens in the public sector come August, September, and October could wipe out the good news in the private sector employment. So this is critical not just to the well-being of our students, not just to the well-being of our teacher corps and the results that we need for a nation. It's also about our economy. It's about whether or not people will be able to continue to participate on Main Street because they have a job. This bill is as important to small businesses in our communities, whether or not these teachers are laid off, as it is to the students. That's what's at stake here. And I want to thank the NEA and the AFT for their leadership. I want to thank David Obey for bringing this matter to the Appropriations Committee and hopefully to the floor, and his including the reform assurances that were in Race to the Top, I think are critical to the passage of this legislation. And if we do this, we have a chance that we can stay on track with the goals that this nation has outlined for our students. If we don't, then let's not lament the losses. We will be responsible for them. And I just think that we would be making a horrible mistake if we don't address the results of the financial scandals and the disaster that is visited upon all levels of local government. I have a larger bill to deal with public employment generally for 1 million jobs, because that's sort of anticipated where things are headed. Mr. Obey in the Recovery Act anticipated this and provided money for local governments and school districts, and throughout the nation we now see the results of that, our ability to retain those jobs and keep those people employed and keep some semblance of an economy in our local communities. So thank you, David. Thank you to our teachers for toughing it out with us, and we hope to be able to deliver good news to you. Mr. Secretary, thank you for your leadership.